This is how I made the Creator Mini. At its core, it's a DJI RS3 Mini, and it's mounted onto a 15mm rod mount up to another 15mm rod, and then into this little adapter here that clips onto the NATO mount onto the side of the DJI RS3 Mini. The other end of it is literally just a monitor arm. This one is an 11-inch, but I've also used a 7 one. It's literally attached to the shoulder pad going up into the quarter 20 into the base of the RS3 Mini. This setup worked pretty good. I liked using this a lot for some of the stuff that I was doing. The big thing for me was being able to still pan up and see things, or tilt down and see things, or being able to pick up on it and tilt down and see things depending on how high of an angle I wanted to shoot from. But the other nice thing was you can change it to the PF mode and then get your jib motion without having to worry about being stable while holding the whole thing straight. It's very handy being able to have this on a gimbal like this, because you don't have to worry about being perfectly straight anymore and straightening your back trying to make sure you're locked in holding the camera straight. It's actually very nice to be able to just hang out and chill, do whatever you need to do. There's a couple of flaws though. If you ever need to touch the gimbal for any reason, you have to break your contact here, so that's going to introduce a little bit of shake, and then grip it up here so you can either joystick it, move it, or if you're off or something and you want to get it back, you have to take, I've been using my thumb on the trigger to double tap it back to level. It's not that that's a bad thing, but when you're in the middle of trying to do a move, or if you want to do fancy moves, like if you're looking at something and you want to track like this, you have to break your contact to reach up, and then you can track with the joystick. When I first started on this project, I kind of wanted to have the idea of using the PS5 controller to hold it down here at my waist and control the camera. And nobody could give the answer definitively if you can use the DJI RS3 Mini with the PS5 controller. Allow me to demonstrate the PS5 controller controlling the RS3 Mini. Now, there are caveats. You have to have this connected to the Bluetooth app, and the Bluetooth app must be open on your phone. So I have the iPhone here sitting with the app open onto the joystick screen, and that allows you to use the controller to activate the gimbal. Originally I wanted to mount it down here, but quickly I determined that's probably not going to work, because as soon as you take your right hand off even, it has a lot of weight wanting to cant off the side of your shoulder. So you're holding up a lot of weight over here. If you put all of that down to a point on the PlayStation controller here, it's going to be a lot of torque off the side of your shoulder, and I just don't feel like that's going to be comfortable or useful. So I started to come up with some other plans. At its core, it's just the RS3 Mini with the camera on top. The problem? How do you mount this to your shoulder while still being able to maintain controls of the joysticks? There isn't an off-the-shelf solution to just mount this to a shoulder mount. So, had to get creative. This little guy is a 15mm rod to NATO clamp. The side of the RS3 Mini is, in essence, just a NATO mount. So, when you mount that adapter onto it, that gets you a 15mm rod facing directly back towards you, the operator. Where do you mount it? If you mount it on the outer rail, that's still going to be a lot of weight that you're holding up with one arm, and your arm's just going to get tired over time. If you just got a rosette mount instead of having the dual one here, so it's not in the way, you can still balance it just a little bit, but you're still going to be pulling on it and fighting it most of the night. That's when I found this, a 15mm rod adapter that allows you to put it in front of your body instead of off to your shoulder. This gets it off your shoulder and puts it closer to your center of mass. Still one more problem though, this big battery. I use a 121 watt hour battery to power all of the gear, and it is heavy and tall, so that makes it so that it has a lot of leverage that wants to pivot a lot. Enter this, the SmallRig SR003 shoulder pad. It has a back pad that allows you to mount plates to it. The other nice thing is because you can mount the battery back here on this back plate, you don't have to have rods that go all the way back to still mount the battery plate, which means you can use much shorter rails. When mounting the battery plate, I mount it towards the inside where my body's going to be. That way it's not trying to pull off of my shoulder. Then what it does is puts the battery lower on your back. That way it's pulling you down and inward instead of trying to push off your side of your shoulder all the time. And to mount the actual gimbal, I just have the 6mm rod here with a rosette arm extension onto another arm extension onto my side grip of choice, and then the little Nitsy 15mm adapter onto the furthest left rod. That way, it takes all of the center of gravity as possible and puts it dead center of my body instead of being off to the shoulder over here. So with the controls right here, I get complete access to the gimbal control, so I can just use the joystick and move the gimbal if I need to. I can hold the trigger, adjust my shot, and then just walk forward if I need to. Or if I was going to do an interview with somebody, I can adjust it where it needs to be and then have a direct line of sight to somebody, so I'm not doing this around the camera, and just do an interview. I can pan it up just a little bit if they're a little bit taller than me, come down a little bit if they're a little bit shorter than me, and if I really need to get over a crowd or something, I can take the battery, put it on my shoulder, and then get really high up against somebody, and then tilt down, tilt up, whatever I need to do. Overall, this is a much more ergonomic option for me than having it mounted up here like a traditional style creator gimbal, because I don't have to break my my contact to reach up. If it was the more expensive gimbal, you can break them down, you can add the little extra control knobs and all that. That gets very expensive very quickly. And I just wanted something for my small camera setup here. I don't have an FX6. I don't have a need for all that kind of good stuff yet. So I wanted to see if I could take the creator concept and throw it onto a mini. And honestly, I really enjoy how this came out. There's been a couple of situations I've been in where if I didn't have this, it would have made my shots significantly more difficult. But being able to sit here and be very tight, I could do just like this. Normally I have my monitor mounted here, but it's on top of this camera. But I could sit here and do this and see what I needed to see on the monitor. I can completely pan it around. I can stand straight and just turn the camera if I want. I don't have to sit here and pan them by hand if I don't want to. What's also really nice about this is you can Bluetooth the gimbal to your camera and have zoom control here. It's not the smoothest thing ever, but if you were trying to zoom in a little bit and then lock in, you can absolutely do that. You get your record button here, and you just overall have all your controls just sitting here at the fingertips. You don't have to add any extras. You don't have to buy any extra parts. Your gimbal, just the parts for the shoulder rig, and you get all the stuff you need to go. The other good thing about moving the center of gravity in is now all of the weight is pretty much directly in front of you. So now when you let go, it kind of just sinks straight down instead of it always wanting to fall off the side of your shoulder, which is ultimately what makes it much more of a comfort to use rather than having it up like a traditional creator style gimbal where it's all on the upper side of your shoulder and it has a lot of pivot weight. Lowering it all and moving it inward definitely adds to the comfort level of how this sits and makes it so you can hold it for a significantly longer period of time. The couple of people that I took inspiration on, I saw that they had an option to be able to take the gimbal and move it behind you if you wanted to. So he has his set up so you can detach the handles, flip the whole gimbal around, and then put it on your shoulder this way. There's nothing that would stop you from doing that with this, but you'd have to get the longer rails, I think. And honestly, I just don't think for the purposes of what I set this up for, I would have a real use for that. And if you really needed to do backward shots, you can just spin the camera around like this and then pivot the whole thing down. And if you had the monitor sitting here where I normally would, you can just take it like this and walk. And it does get you the shot that you're looking for. The thing is, it's so light, you can basically just kind of hold it. It doesn't weigh that much. It's super nice to be able to just grab onto it and then go. The heavier gimbals, the bigger gimbals, you won't be able to do this with because it's going to be heavier. I'm sure you could counterweight it. I'm sure that there's a way that you could get it to balance on your shoulder better. But for how small and compact this is, it's very nice to just be able to pick up and go. Overall, this has definitely changed the way that I shoot things. It's opened up the door to a lot of shots I wouldn't be able to get previously. Generally, if I was going to go handheld, I would just grab the camera with a little battery on the back and then do a little pan if I needed to. But on here, you can change the follow mode to custom and turn everything off. So it's basically like you're holding the trigger the whole time, so it doesn't follow you at all. And what you can do with it is you can do slider moves. So if you're looking at something, you can come off to the side and then pan, but also track it and keep it in the middle of your frame. That gives you your slider move that you wouldn't be able to get normally with a gimbal, because if you're in PF mode even, it's going to want to follow you. So I'm not holding it and it's following me when I turn. But if you turn that off, then it's going to stay in the same direction the whole time. And if that was up here on my shoulder, you'd have to like twist it to see the screen. You'd have to hold the joystick up here, and you just can't do that. The other thing you can't do with it up there is fun stuff like this. Why you would need to do this? I don't know. But it makes everybody that sees it go, wow, that's impressive. Sometimes it's just cool. Some of the other things that you can do with this that I haven't found really uses for yet are FPV mode. So it can completely just go sideways. My balance is probably off just a little bit, so don't mind that. But it will absolutely do rolls and follow you. And then the other one you could do is 360 roll. So it'll do this one. But again, I haven't really found a use for this. But there you go. It can still do it. And the 360 roll is a lot easier if you have it in the other orientation where it's over your shoulder instead of being this orientation on your shoulder. Overall, this is my favorite mode, the PTF mode, because I can still look down at things, I can still look up at things, and it just gives you buttery smooth video. So instead of you jerking to something, it just casually glides there. It's very nice. The other thing I didn't know that these did was sport mode. So if you hold M and double tap the trigger, it goes into sport mode, and it is very snappy. I've heard the RS4 Mini has a different algorithm of tracking and is faster than this. So there's less of a delay is what people call it. But I haven't tested it yet. But sport mode on these is pretty quick. I mean, if I was tracking cars and stuff, it's not that much behind. It is not easy, I won't say that, because it is still work to track something, even in sport mode where you're sitting here tracking a subject, especially fast-moving ones. It's not a cheat code. It is not a, hi, I'm going to hand this to somebody that's never used one before, and they're going to get epic shots. I won't say that. It's still going to take work. You have to be able to go through the app, set your dead bands, know what all that means, and do the work to practice getting the moves you need to get so that you can get your shots down. Now, I have the joystick turned all the way up, stuff like that. You got to know how to tune all that. This doesn't get you away from learning the gimbal and how to use a gimbal. I've only had this for a month or so now, and I'm telling you, it's a journey. It's not a one-size-fits-all, but as somebody that likes doing live production stuff and comes from the production side of things, having this instead of just a traditional shoulder camera or even a jib opens the door to so many things, because I can take this and sit in the back of a crowd and do, if I'm in PF mode, not PTF mode, I can do the traditional jib shots. The ones that get all the clients happy and gets them the things, whatever they need to do. And if you change it to custom mode where it's all off, you can use the joystick and then you can do the smooth moves. And it's very nice. It's very handy and much more mobile. So what I normally do is I stick a Hollyland video transmitter. I don't have it with me, unfortunately. I just clamp it onto the rail here to a 1/4 20 mount into the bottom of the Polyland. Or you can take something like a LiveView Solo. It has HDMI on the side, and I route my cables up and over the shoulder, and then I can plug it into a LiveView. Some things I would improve. I'm not done modifying this. This is still very much, I would consider, late beta phase, if I was going to call it that. For productions, I'm probably going to get a second one of these offsets. So what I did was take the same one that I mounted it on previously and put it here, because I like having two rail blocks to clamp onto the rails to stop them from being able to twist. Instead of it having to only overcome one, oh, it just lost balance. Instead of it having to only overcome one of these clamps to rotate, it then has to overcome two clamps to then rotate. That's what gives it the stability it has. That's what stops the gimbal from just twisting on the 15mm rod. Having two clamps here holds the rod securely enough that even the weight of this gimbal isn't going to just rotate off of the rail. So I can literally take the whole thing by the gimbal, and it's holding the entire weight of the shoulder rig right now on that single 15mm rod. Granted, I wish there was a better way to mount this to that, but the fact that I can do this and it not twist and not let go, I can bounce it around, it's not going anywhere. It's solid enough that I would trust it. The only thing I don't trust is having a single point here. I would rather have two of these offsets here to clamp down here instead of doing a single offset and then a single rail clamp. I just feel like that's going to overall make it more stable, give it much more rigidity, and I just have to get another one. I haven't done it yet. The other thing is I might switch this 6-inch rod out to a 8-inch rod, because that would give me just a little bit more playroom here to be able to take this rosette mount and potentially put it up front and then drop it down. But the 6-inch is pretty good where it's at. I don't know quite yet if I want to do that yet or not, because then I can push the gimbal out just a little bit more. So it'd be somewhere out about here-ish maybe. Again, I don't know. That's all stuff that I've theorized but have not finalized yet. Alright, so I'll show you how I cable manage this real quick. I just have the USB-C and HDMI cable velcroed together here. Usually it's my 6700 that's sitting on here, and I haven't really used the ZV-E10 on the gimbal as much, but it's the same concept either way. You just route them over the top from the side, and then I will take a piece of Velcro and attach it here. I'm just going to do this very temporarily. And then I found these little small rig cable clamps. So you can mount these to the top, and usually I do one on top and one on the side. Like that. And on the side like this. And what that does is, I don't like how much you have to bend this to get it in here, but once you do get it, clamped in, clamped in, like so. That makes it so these are much more difficult to pull out. And then what it does is it manages it right over the top and off to the side. So then when you're out looking at it, you can go almost all the way left and most of the way right. And because these two cables are velcroed together here, they both stay together and are rigid enough that they stay out of the way of this arm. So when you go back and forth, it has less of a chance of trying to catch on one of these clips and then unlocking your gimbal mid-move. I did have that problem a few times, but ever since I've used these clamps, it's been a non-issue. Every so often, you might have to pull some slack here and just make sure that this is out. I haven't found a way to attach this to the gimbal arm here without it tugging. So I've just kind of Velcroed it here and then left enough of a loop here so that you can just wiggle it around and make sure it's not going to catch. And honestly, it's been pretty good. So then what I do is I plug the USB cable in here to the battery, and I'll cable manage these a little bit better usually, but for demonstrations, I'm not going to super worry about it. And then I can take the HDMI cable either to the Hollyland I usually have sitting up here, or you can unvelcro it and then go down under and into my Viltrox DC990 Pro sitting down here usually. And then just have the one cable up here, and then you still have enough that you can wiggle around. I don't have it cable managed perfectly, but you get the idea. While we're talking production stuff, I do also have one of these Blackmagic microconverter bidirectional SDIs. So what this does is let you take HDMI in and then do SDI out, or SDI in and get HDMI out. It's actually incredibly handy. So for some of those situations where you need SDI but your camera doesn't have it, you can take the same 15mm mounting blocks and slide them on here upside down so that the flat top's on top, flat part is on top. And I just take the USB-C to the back, and then I just have it double-sided sticky taped onto them, and I'm not going to super worry about exactly where it's going to be, but you get the idea. And then you can cable manage just a little bit to the HDMI in, and then I would Velcro this off into here, something like that. Then you get a USB cable from your battery up to the converter, and you have SDI out on the same camera. And it's all compacted up on your shoulder, and it stays out of the way. You don't have to have a separate belt pack. You don't have to have it mounted down on your belt. I've done that in the past before. And then you can get SDI out to the live views or anything else. For the live view, if I'm ever using this thing, I just clip it to my belt and then run the HDMI cable. I have a longer HDMI cable I can swap this to, and then just run it from there. The same problem if you mount this up here anywhere is you have a lot of top weight, because these aren't light. You have a lot of top weight that's then going to want to pivot off the side of you. But if you're stronger than me, you can probably get away with this just fine. You don't have to worry about having another thing off the side of your body. And the other nice thing is my small rig battery here has the DC outs on the top, and you can take that into the live view if you wanted to make sure that you had enough battery to power everything and not have to worry about it. So this is the view that you're normally going to have. I have the monitor mounted down here right this second, so you get the camera sitting right here in front of your face, and then you can look down and see the monitor, which is really, really nice. There are some instances I've run into where I'll turn the camera like this to do, say, an interview shot or something, and you can just glance down and see exactly what's going on. If your phone's down here, you can adjust your focus, ISO, or aperture, which is incredibly handy because then you're not having to sit over here and do it from the camera while you're trying to set up a shot. The other nice thing is this is balanced enough, and having the monitor down here adds more to the pulling into your shoulder instead of it trying to pull off your shoulder. So the more weight you get onto your left side, the more it's going to want to come to the left instead of trying to fall off your shoulder, which only adds to the balance, honestly. It's not that heavy. It is heavy when you start adding all of the stuff to it, but because of how all of the center of gravity is towards your center of gravity, you're not sitting here fighting it falling off of your shoulder. You're only holding it up just a little bit. And I mean, I can literally hold it with one finger. It's not heavy at all. The weight does start adding up over time. I mean, if you add a bigger monitor, a caged monitor, external battery on that monitor, etc., etc., the number of things that you can start adding to your camera, the weight will start to change dramatically. So be conservative with what you use. I do like having the dummy battery running to the same battery on my back, because it just adds more counterweight back there without having to add generic weight, which is not a good thing in my opinion. The lighter you can get the set up, the better. Even the weight that it's sitting at right this second, I can still hold up with just one finger. And it's pretty balanced. It's not perfectly balanced, but it's really not bad because it's all focused right here in the middle. It's all balanced right here to the middle of you. You're not sitting here holding it, straining your wrist, trying to hold it up onto your shoulder at all. It's all just sitting here already. You're just holding it up where you need the camera to be positioned at. And again, the same thing. If you need to go high with it, the monitor sitting right here, you can see it perfectly. If it's in the way, you can fold it out a little bit. If you need to fold it in, you can fold it in a little bit to stay out of the shot. If you needed to do something like this, I've done this in the past, trying to get over somebody standing right in front of you, you can just do this and then zoom in just a little bit with the roller here. I guess I haven't shown that yet, huh? What you can do is while you're looking, you can then zoom in with the rocker right here under your finger, and then you can zoom right back out. It's again, it's not the smoothest thing in the world, but it is useful. So there is that. So yeah, tell me what you guys think. What should I do to improve this aside from getting another Z offset mount so I have a double these up? Because one instance in the past, I was walking along distance, not doing an active shot, and when I was traversing to another location, this came loose just enough that it popped these rails out. So I had to reach up and grab it and hold on to it. That's one of the only reasons why I said I want a second one of these, because I really like having the redundancy of, hey, it's got to make it past 2 of these before it'll slip out instead of just the one. Again, I think that's one of the only things that I'm missing. Again, I might do an 8-inch one here. That way I can, when I have the double rail over here, it'll give me some wiggle room with this rosette. Just this rosette here to this extension to this extension. I didn't do a single extension down to here just because I don't think I'd get it out far enough. And having the second one gives me the ability to, if I need to drop this down out of the way some more. And then be completely down here with it. For extended shoots, it is more comfortable to be down here with it, but I don't really like how bulky this makes it. So most of the time I don't run it this low, and honestly, it's kind of personal preference at this point. So the adjustability this has is pretty significant. And the other thing that I'm not super sold on is this handle. I like this handle because of how cheap it is. It's only like 40 bucks, and it gives you 3/8 RE mounts like all the way around it. And it's on a rosette, so you can micro adjust it if you really need to. I don't hate it, but for the price, I think it's tough to beat. The Condor blue one I was looking at was like 80 bucks. That's like 2 of these, and it's a single pistol grip. I just don't know. I don't know, man. I just don't know that I want to drop 80 bucks on that yet. I've seen some good reviews on it, but I don't see that being worth double one of these. So that is my Creator Mini. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Until next time, peace.